Let's hop into the swing check for my buddy Joel. This is Ryan from Golf Fit. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. So first things first, overall posture and setup, I would definitely recommend that we get some space away from the butt of the golf club. So essentially what's happening here is because the hand position is so close to the body, you actually have really no hip flexion going on. And so really like your hips are super flat. And if you look at most tour pros, their hips are going to actually be more bent down towards the golf ball with the belt buckle or pelvis kind of pointing at the golf ball. And so because of that posture issue, you're going to see that kind of show up in your hitting zone as well when we get to the hitting zone. You're also going to notice that your stance is pointed way out to the right there. Not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing if you're trying to hit a draw, because if you're trying to hit a draw, you would want your stance going out to the right like that, but it seems a little bit excessive considering how far left your shoulders are actually pointed, okay? So as we go through here, we're going to get you up to your position 2, actually pretty solid there. So typically what you'll find for most tour pros is that the club face passes through the hand position, which is what you're doing there on the takeaway. So I can tell you've done your homework there. Good job. As you start to bring the club up to the top of the golf swing, you got a nice tall position there with the hand position. Typically tour pros will have the hands about 3 inches behind the trail shoulder here. Sorry, I couldn't get the line to cooperate there. Typically the hands are about 3 inches behind that line, behind that trail shoulder line. Yours is right on top of it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It just means that if you want to hit more draws, you would want your hands to be further behind that line, going more this direction, because that gives you more depth in your swing. And then as you start to bring the club down, this is where things kind of get a little bit out of control here for you. So let me kind of draw your primary swing plane line for you. Gosh, sorry, my lines are not behaving today. As we get you back up to the top and you start to drop that club down, you're going to notice that the shaft of the golf club stays pretty steep here. In comparison to the primary swing plane line, that shaft angle is still pretty vertical. And so what happens is by the time it actually shallows out, it's already a little bit too late. And then so as you bring the club down, the club is going to go out in front of you. And now you're going to have to stand up really tall in order to be able to create space and have room. You can see that you're actually on your tippy toes there in your hitting position and you're standing straight up. If you look at the majority, a really good example for you to look at is to go back into some of my previous videos where I did Dustin Johnson's hitting, where I did a swing check for Dustin Johnson. That would be a good example. If you look at his hitting zone, if you look at his impact position, that's something that you could try to model yourself after. Now, that's a little bit on the extreme side, but it just shows you the contrast and the difference of where you are now versus where you should be trying to get to. Okay? So because that club is getting out in front, now it's going to swing left and cut across the golf ball there. You're going to notice that club goes straight left across the ball. So I'm guessing you hit a lot of pull hooks in your ball flight, or you hit giant slices if you leave the club face open. All right. And so again, I've never really seen you actually hit the ball other than this one shot, but that's just what I would guess based on your club path and your face angles and your overall body mechanics. When you look at pros, when they're in the hitting zone, they're in what I call a side view hitting position, whereas most amateurs are trying to hit the ball from a top view hitting position. And if you look at my Dustin Johnson video, you'll see what I mean by side view hitting position. His hips are completely rotated, and his shoulders are not only rotated, but his shoulders have a ton of right shoulder tilt. And you'll notice when you're at the hitting position, your shoulders have very, very little shoulder tilt. Your shoulders are almost parallel to the ground there. So I hope that helps. And I'm not, I always do these things to try to help you guys. I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm trying to give you some perspective. So I hope that does help. And as always, aim small, swing smooth. Peace.